Well, season 2, happy to announce, of Dirt Diaries, it is here. This weekly podcast, it spotlights the stories of women in agriculture. And you can catch the next episode tomorrow as host Kirbe visits with author Caroline Larson. She joins us now for a sneak peek of this conversation. Caroline, it is a pleasure to have you. And before we went to TV, we were, of course, in that break, and I was talking to you about all the hats you wear. You're an author, marketing agency, wife, rancher. I find it so inspiring to hear that you had no experience prior to working on a ranch, but you went and got a gig on a ranch in Wyoming. Talk about where that passion first came from, that desire to be a part of a ranch.
So my background is in publishing. I wanted to be a writer since before I could hold a crayon. That was my dream, and I did it. I had a 3-book deal with HarperCollins, and right out of college, I jumped into that, and it was great. But one day I was actually at a writing conference in Wyoming, and the director and I had become friends, and she invited me out to the Grazing Association that her husband managed out in Tinsley, Wyoming. And the moment we drove into that town, there was just something in my gut that just knew that that was where I needed to be. And so I started learning everything I could about ranching. I'm from a small town in Georgia. My family wasn't in ag, but, jumping it was so different seeing how people ranched out in Wyoming. And so I just knew that that's where I needed to be. My family thought I was crazy because I packed a U-Haul and drove 2,000 miles across the country to start a fresh chapter in Wyoming. And one thing I immediately noticed is the power of storytelling within the ranching community and all of the stories that tie into Western heritage. And so stepping from the writing world into ranching, I realized that I would never be a top hand, but I could still learn everything I could and then bring in my ability to communicate and offer that to the ranching world. And it's been amazing, just the amount of people that I've met, the stories that I've been able to help tell. And so it was weirdly a natural bridge to go from writing fiction to now I get to work with other ranchers. I get to work with other brands in the Western space and magnify that Western heritage. And it's just been a really rewarding process. And yep, I married a cowboy and now we get to ranch. So if I'm not on my laptop helping other producers, I get to be out working cattle with him and continuing to learn. So it's just been an amazing, amazing journey.
I'm sure everybody's thinking what I'm thinking, that this sounds like this is going to be something we're going to see on TV, right? You're going to have that small town, you're going to be holding that cup of coffee or hot chocolate as they always do, right?
Yeah, right. I think that was one of the biggest things that that chapter really taught me, to go from, spending so much time telling other people's stories to suddenly feel like I was really living my own and embracing my own. And so, yeah, maybe one day, because it really does sound like a book.
Absolutely. Definitely the next rom-com. I can't wait for that. And as you mentioned, yes, you had several books actually published through HarperCollins. Is that right?
Yes, yes, I did. Yep, I have.
Go ahead.
So yes, I have a romance novel with them. I have a murder mystery and a book that came out a couple of years ago called Curses and Other Buried Things, that is based solely off my own family folklore from South Georgia, kind of the ag community down in South Georgia. And so, yeah, I have 3 books with HarperCollins, and then now I run a Western marketing agency.
Okay, and people can find those books, by the way, under Caroline George. That's where they can actually locate you. Again, like you said, you really tell storytelling through social media, helping to educate the public about ranching practices as well. And I know that's really important to you. Speak to that.
So I think one of the biggest things that I've seen be effective for other producers and people in the Western space is to tell stories and to educate, because the public is more curious than they've ever been in ag. Really thanks to media and thanks to TV. And so I think, having other brands and producers talk about how their operation works, to really talk about stewardship and how that connects to ag, and then really get to the heart of the matter and tell family stories, the public just eats it up. And so I think that that's a big thing that I'm seeing in media as a whole, is this big shift to authenticity. And nobody knows authenticity like the ag community. Absolutely. And so that's been really fun to work with producers and just to encourage them to just get on social media or get online and just be authentic and tell very unique stories.
Well, I got to tell you, I love your Instagram, and through Dirt Diaries, I was able to find you. I am now a follower. I find it so entertaining. Just great content. We're going to hear a lot more of these stories. You're going to be joining Kirbe Schnorr on Dirt Diaries. People can actually listen to that wherever they listen to their podcasts, and that is out tomorrow. What a pleasure having Caroline here again. That is Miss Caroline Larson. And again, the episode Dirt Diaries tomorrow, all podcast platforms.